Hello, everyone. My name is Paulette Henson, and today on the Authors Lounge, I have a special guest. Her name is Rose Beavers. She is a dynamic author with 14 books in her library. And I am super excited to get to know Rose and to share with you all of her work. And so, without further ado, I'd like to bring to the Authors Lounge stage Rose Jackson-Beavers. Rose, welcome. How are you?
I am doing fine. Thank you so much, Paulette, for inviting me to participate in this Authors Lounge interview. I'm excited today.
Yes, yes. So, Rose, you were telling me a little bit about a couple of your books, but go ahead and share with our audience your inspiration, your writing journey, and just a legacy of 14 books. I'd love to
Okay.
hear that.
All right, great. I started writing. It's been so long. My first article ended up in a newspaper when I was 17 years old. And
Wow.
since that time, it's been 20 years that I've been a writer, but also I published other authors. And none of this was intentional. I have a nephew who was going through a lot of challenges, and he wanted to um, talk about it. And I asked him to start journaling. Was really shocked when I looked at his journal, and I was like, this is a book. This can help other people. We were given permission by his mother to publish this work. And that was in 2004. And
Wow.
he was 13 years old at that time. And we published a book called A Hole in My Heart because he was going through trials and tribulations of his mom using drugs and how it was impacting him and his family.
Mm.
And so once we published that book, we sold almost 10,000 copies. And that was the
Wow.
start of me, writing more books. It's always been inside of me since I was 7 years old. I wanted that for myself, but it
Yes.
didn't start until 2004.
Wow. Amazing.
Yes,
Wow. It's the stories that we all have, as I tell and share with everyone, we all have stories that are really our way of blessing others, helping them, and sharing because you never know the next person could be going through the same thing,
yes,
and you speak those words and all of a sudden a bell rings and it's like, hey, I know somebody that went through that, or I went through that, or what have you. And so I just commend you on taking that step and producing a book because 10,000 people were
yes.
able to be impacted, and that is phenomenal.
Yes, and
Wow.
I'd also like to say too, as a result of that, he did a lot of healing, and today he is a behavioral health worker who works with individuals who are going through not only substance use but also who may be suffering from some type of mental illness. So he
Yes.
goes into the homes, he helps them find jobs, and I think that sometimes when you put your words in writing, you don't know, like you said, who's going to read it
Yes.
or how it's going to impact their life. But when we have stories of hope, stories that can help others,
Yes.
stories, that are true and real, somebody is going to be impacted by that. And in this particular case, we got a lot of letters from kids who said they were suicidal before reading that book and going to their mothers or pastors and let them know the crisis that they were in. And so that was just the beginning for me in the 14 book pathway. So once
Yes.
we did that one, I kept going, uh, did my books, and then as a result of people hearing our story, other authors got in touch with me, and I published over 50 authors, over 100 books. And
Wow.
so this has been something that's been going on for working with other authors since 2006.
Wow, you are absolutely amazing. I love your work and your diligence in sticking with that because, again, we all have certain callings,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really about being obedient. You know, God gives us vision, and he gives you that vision so that you can pursue that work. And when you do that, it just rains. You just
Yes.
get blessings upon blessings. And so I love your story.
Mm-hmm.
I love your diligence in your work, and how you've helped others. Because again, that's what it's really about,
Yeah.
sharing our stories and communicating with people that we don't even know, but we're helping them in a massive way.
Right. Right.
And so what sort of advice would you give to an aspiring author that is thinking about writing a story or has stories, but really just putting forth that effort to getting it done?
And it depends on what they're looking for. If they're looking for just writing a story, romance, being authentic to yourself and true to yourself, and really writing and using those resources that will help that book to stand out, making sure it's edited by editors and
Yeah.
not friends, making sure that they're telling, if they're going to do a story, most of my stories represent pretty much who I am in my everyday life. I am also a mental health coach, a Christian mental health coach. So I do a lot of work getting people to look at their trauma and to deal
Yes.
with it. And
Yeah.
you see that in all of my stories. My stories have been, so my characters have experienced domestic violence, mental health crises. They've dealt with being bipolar, schizophrenia, just different mental health, and I walk them through that. So I'm trying to not only give people a great story to read, but how to fix things in their life, how to seek help and feel comfortable with knowing that it's okay to take care of themselves and to seek
Yes.
counsel. And that's through my writing. But the catch is, I want you to really enjoy this romance story, but I want you to see that any problems you experience can be overcome if you put the work in it. And
Yeah.
so that's what I would give to authors is be authentic to yourself. You know, write what you feel, what makes you passionate. And I'll give you an example of that. I had written a book and it had a lot of erotical scenes,
Yes.
but I was never comfortable with it. And when I would go on book signings, I had it in a pen name. And when I would go on my book signings, I couldn't tell people that I wrote that book, even though I know I did it in a pen name. I would say, this girl, you know, she wrote this book and it's good, but I couldn't sell it. It was not in my spirit. I did
Hmm.
it because at that particular time, it was really selling well, that topic. And I
Hmm.
was like, I just want to sell books. I want to sell books, but it was not authentic. And
Right.
it wasn't until I just started, like, you know, just accepting who I am, who I was, and that I'm not going to be one of these big authors out here who's selling this erotica stories all over the place. That's not going to be me. So I sat
Hmm.
down one day and I prayed and I started writing Christian books, Christian romance, and it felt so good to me. It
Yeah.
was such a different feeling. I'm prouder of my writing because it's me. It's authentic
Yes.
to, and as a result of that, I sell more books in that genre because it's who I am. It's who I am on a daily basis. And
Yes.
so that's the advice that I give to people is be authentic to who you are.
Yes, I would totally agree with that. Because when you mention pen names, it always makes me wonder. I mean, people have their reasons for using pen names, but also it's sort of you're hiding behind this
Yes.
name, and like you said, it's not. Is it really your true self?
Right.
Now, I do know that I have another author friend who used a pen name because, she didn't want somebody to know that she wrote the book about, a story that involved someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And so for protective reasons, I get it. But as you point out, being authentic to yourself
Mm-hmm.
when you're writing, because that is your truth.
Yes.
and you have to embrace it and just know that it will reach people.
Yes.
Whoever needs to hear it, they're going to hear it, and really that is one of the foundation
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
me building this group and building this lounge authors lounge show
Mhm.
is to really showcase all of the amazing authors that are writing books and give them a platform to share their work, to really impact the audience
Yes.
with them as the author. You know, this is a way for our audience to get to know you and
Mhm.
really what you're about. And so that just further impacts your work. And I just want to congratulate you on just a huge, huge um, legacy of books,
Mhm.
and you found your niche, you know.
Yes. Mhm.
So that is amazing. So tell us about your books that you want to speak on today.
Okay. I have with me today Journey to Jesus. This is my most recent release. And I did this, it released in January. And I wanted to do this daily devotional because of a girlfriend of mine who I've been friends with over 48 years, and she suddenly passed.
Mm,
But
sorry to
our
hear.
last luncheon that we had together, she was saying, I really love hearing your stories. You're a good storyteller. And she's talking about when we're talking as
Yeah,
friends face to face, how excited she was to hear the stories. And one of our other girlfriends was there. And it was like, write a memoir, let people hear the stories that you and your mom talk about. And I was like, people who write memoirs are famous. Nobody want to read anything from me like that. And she died in within the time period of her dying through my grief. I wrote Journey to Jesus because it's a devotional book, but the daily stories for 30 days are things that my mother taught me, our
mm,
conversations. And then I asked a series of questions, how that story impacted you, what would you have done? And then in addition, I give you activities like you may talk about faith, but look at your own life. Where did you notice that you had a lot of faith in God? What happened as a result of it? And then I ask you to apply that to a situation. Pick up the phone and call somebody and talk to them about faith. Give them some encouragement. So
yeah,
for 30 days, you get an opportunity to do an activity to strengthen
mm,
your own spiritual life as well.
yeah,
And that was my way of answering the call to her to write this memoir because we love hearing your stories about you and your mom because we were so close.
yeah,
And I responded that way. And as a result, I get the phone calls from people saying, you need to do a Zoom study group so we can talk about this because I'm just really enjoying this book.
yeah,
And I haven't done a whole lot of promotion because of my daily work that I do. And
yeah.
I'm about to get ready to do that. Another story that I wrote was a Christian romance story. And this is called Broken Spirit In. I think it's probably, again, one of the reads that people most read of my work as well, in addition to A Hole in My Heart with a kid's book, in addition to this Broken Spirit. Broken Spirit is about Christian romance. We all fall in love. We
Yes,
all try. Many of the people that I know, we go to church or we did in the past. And people always say things don't happen at church or church don't experience problems, but we have to always remind people that a church to me is like a hospital. That's one of the things my mother used to tell me.
yes,
You
it
go
is
to
a
church to
hospital.
get well,
Yeah,
to get better. But our,
absolutely.
our life show up there. It shows there for us. And I wanted to write a romance story about a pastor who was single and the things that he was going through because in my day to day, I work with a lot of pastors and first ladies.
Mm,
And because like I said, I do mental health coaching, Christian mental health coaching, but I also train churches to understand mental health and to really speak from the pulpit about mental health. And so
wow.
my books reflect that.
Mm.
And I think they're very interesting.
Yes, yes. I love the fact that you're doing that because Mental health is now a talkable item.
Yes.
Since the pandemic, so many people have suffered from it from years prior to
Yeah.
that, but now it's talkable and people are okay with admitting that they have had some issues.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I think that coaching pe- people in the church, pastors, first ladies, of course, because I think that there's a misconception that pastors and first ladies are perfect. They don't have any problems and they're walking in God's light.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're killed all day, right? We
Yes.
are killed all day. And so when you look at a from a pastor's perspective, it's even more so, more
Yes.
scrutiny, more attacks.
Yes.
And so it's got to affect them humanly as they are trying to carry on their mission and preach the word of God, but still being attacked from all sorts of angles.
Yes.
And so to identify that and realize that, yes, they need help too.
Mm-hmm.
We all do. We all have those low moments where, yes, we have our faith, but you also need that human connection that reminds you that you are on the right path, and
Yes.
to give you those tools and steps to get back to being your best.
Yes.
And
And the
go ahead.
Yes. And the other thing too that happens in the church, with the pastor taking in everybody's problem, we all go to them. So I always just say, and I'm not saying that people's trauma is garbage, but I always saw the more garbage, the more pain that you take in and it stays there because you never let it out, it's
Right.
making you unhealthy. But the
Yes.
other thing, the way that I go into churches is a lot of people don't seek help as your congregants
Right.
because they believe that by doing so, they lack faith in God.
Right.
Because we have heard in the church, you know, don't talk about this. This is not something that impact Christians. Get on your knees and pray. Yes, yes, get on your
Right.
knees and pray. But
Yes.
by the same token, God has given too many people too
Yes.
many talents to help us while we're
Yes.
praying. That is the prayer that He's given us, is to go out and talk to some of these licensed therapists or
Yes.
psychiatrists, psychologists that can help you.
Yes.
You're praying for this help, but you don't do anything about it. And we wanted
Right.
the pastors to speak from the pulpit so that they can make sure that people understand that their faith was not being attacked. And
Right.
so we give them the tools and make sure that they're doing mental health training in the churches, talking about it freely. Is going to open many people up to seek that training. And as you were saying, during COVID, we started talking about it a lot because everybody was inside,
Yes.
everybody was scared, people
Yes.
were losing their relatives, so they was
Right.
dealing with a lot of grief. How do
Hmm.
I handle this? I'm scared to go to the store. I'm scared to
Right.
go outside. I won't let anybody in the house near me because I
Right.
don't trust you being well. And
Right.
so we started talking about it on Zoom, on meetings, making sure that people hearing this message, and it started opening up doors everywhere. People are talking about it more. You see more, even actress and actors standing up saying that they've been impacted and how
Yes.
they're handling it. So I
Yes.
saw it really opening up a whole lot of doors. I trained with my team here locally 144 churches
Wow.
in a curriculum of 20 hours of training. And we did it initially before Zoom, face to face and training classes.
Hmm.
But when we took it, that whole 20-hour free training program to Zoom, those classes went from 25 to 50 to 77. And people were signing on, wanting to know. So what we were doing is making churches behavior health friendly because we
Yes.
wanted them to understand. Look at
Yes.
your biblical characters.
Yes.
Look at Naomi in Ruth's situation, where
Yes.
Naomi lost her husband and two sons. She was depressed. She
Yes.
was going, she actually said, you know, God has afflicted me. She was sad. And
Mhm.
so when you look at all those characters, Jonah in the well, how do you
Yes.
think he felt inside of
Yes.
stinky well?
Right.
Didn't know what was
In
going
that
to
belly.
happen to him. Was
Right.
God free him? Was he angry at me? He had to be depressed. So when you look at a lot of the characters, depression has been here a long time. Mental health and all these other issues have been here a long time. We have to address it, especially in African American communities.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you. We do because as a community, as a culture, we have PTSD to the 10,000th power. We
Yes.
just do. And it's carried on from our ancestors. And so still with demarginalizing
Mm-hmm.
us experiencing that, and just us as a culture, our men. Um, it makes me think of this is a way for them to really release all of that
Yes.
pain,
Yes.
and because we weren't communicating and we didn't feel safe to talk about these things. Over time, I mean, men were raised, you don't talk about your feelings, you don't cry, you
Yeah.
don't express any of those,
Mm-hmm.
hurts that you feel inside. You have to be a man and deal with it.
Yes.
Well, there was no dealing with it. They just kind of bottled it up, and so all of that, even women as well,
Yes.
all of that over time, it just kept resonating with
Mm-hmm.
the next group and the next group.
Yes.
And so we get to this space, and now we're able to release that pain,
Mm-hmm.
and we're able to talk about it, and like you said, get it out of our bodies.
Yes.
All of the past trauma, all of the reminders of past trauma, that's just re uh stabbing the wound,
Yes.
my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. And now we're at a space where we can, there's people like you that are, seeing what that is and showing people that path,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that, that's where we are. It's finding that safe path to get out of that mental prison
Uh-huh.
of pain,
Right.
and so many people that I speak to, so many authors that write books. I mean, I see it with a lot of our authors that are writing books about their pain.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes. Yes.
so many, as I interview more authors, they're writing about the pain that they've experienced because that's their way of expressing,
Mm-hmm.
provides a healing as
Yes.
well, because then they're able to journey themselves out of that and
Yes.
look at it, look at this book and say, wow, I put it there. Me myself, one of my first books, I wrote about, issues with my father and the
Okay.
relationship. And so, as I interview author after author after author, I'm seeing that. And so it's like we're all embracing each other, and
Mm-hmm.
we're all putting tools out there, for our kids and our grandkids, and just
Mm-hmm.
people to help themselves. And
Right.
so your books are available on Amazon,
Yes.
and are you on Barnes and Noble as well?
Yes.
Oh,
I my books are distributed by Lightning Source, so you can find them almost anywhere. And
yes,
if they're not on the shelf, of course, if you ask them, the stores will order the book in.
yes,
Because I've been writing a series of since 2004. So, but
yes.
that's 19
Almost 10.
years. So,
Yes,
yeah.
wow, wow, super. I'm so excited for what you do, and I always, I just feel like I'm being blessed, just being in
Hmm.
your presence, I really appreciate you being on the show because I know that when this show is published, a lot of people are going to reach out to you because, you have that platform. And
Hmm.
so, for those of you that are, if you've heard this interview, you can go to Amazon. In most cases, you can type Rose Jackson
Yeah,
Beavers, and all of her books will come up because she has 14 books,
yeah,
ladies and gentlemen. 14. She's been writing since 2004, and she is an amazing woman that provides coaching, Christian coaching on
yes,
mental health. And we
yes,
so need that because we need to just keep re edifying the message that you can reach out to someone when you're having those mental issues or a mental crisis. You can read the daily devotionals that will walk you
yes.
out of your situation.
Hmm.
So, Miss Rose, there anything that you would like to close the interview with the audience? Any closing remarks?
I would like to also say that I am a national training for mental health in changing the stigma in African American communities. And like you said, if you type my name in, you will see many, many articles of me training, being interviewed by different sources, different newspapers across the country who wanted to know more about my training in the churches for mental health. I've started a chapter in Texas, San Antonio, Texas. We're working on one in Indianapolis. I am no longer affiliated with a program that I have to create. But in addition to that, I started my own program called Breaking Behavior Health Barriers. And that's the program that I'm training churches with nationally, locally. So get in touch with me if your church is needing training. And I do face to face as well as Zoom
Wow,
training. So
awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Rose, so much for being a guest on the Authors Lounge. Also, ladies and gentlemen, Rose will be one of the featured authors in the next edition of BWA magazine, and that is our BWA Holiday Edition. So, you want to learn more about Rose and her work? You can pick up the magazine. It will be launching next week, so look out for that. And again, Rose, thank you for being a guest on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time on the Authors Lounge.
and I want to thank you so much for being having given me this platform. Thank
Thank,
you, and you have a blessed day.
thank you so much. Okay.